Hello, and thank you for joining us here for another episode of the Cheyenne and Arapaho Productions podcast here on Cheyenne and Arapaho Television. I'm here again with I was going to say newly elected, but now it's been a while, so.
They haven't kicked me out.
It's been a while.
Haven't recalled me.
Albert Oldcrow.
Going on 4 months.
All right, that's going 4 months. How's it going so far?
So far, so good. Yes.
All right. Well, let's keep it going that way.
I intend to keep it going and continue to keep people informed.
Yeah, and so I see you got some papers here. Why don't you give me a quick rundown of what, like I said, last time you were here, it was kind of like a onboarding thing, get to know me type thing, people, who you are, where you come from, who your people are. And it looks like this time, we don't have to do all that again. Now you kind of want to get to the meat of really a tribal council meeting here and what things have to happen procedurally.
Yes. What I wanted to talk about is how tribal members can submit a resolution and affect change. One of the ways they do that is have an idea. That idea can be identifying a problem or change you want to see. An example, increased funding for elders. That's a hot topic. Mm-hmm. Has been for like 3 or 4 years now. Second thing is to write a draft resolution, and that's clearly describing the action you want to take and why. One of the things in doing the drafting of the resolution is one must make sure that there is funding available for that, and your legislator from your district should be consulted in making sure that, hey, we do have enough money for that, or no, you're just flapping in the wind.
And that really can't be understated, because we need to, tribal members need to realize that we have elected legislators in every district. And that's really where you can have the idea. You don't have to, you can come up with the idea yourself, sure, on something, an important issue. But it would seem to reason that your legislators should be involved in the resolution you're talking about from the beginning. That way, they can look for funding, or they can sort of like, what's the word? You can collaborate and counsel each other on, you don't want to ask for, if you can get, I want to try, you don't want to ask for a Cadillac if you can only afford a little Chevy Nova.
Yes.
Something like that. So let's touch on that. You kind of have to get your legislators involved from the beginning, right?
That is true. If that action is taken, legislator is contacted. If they will answer their phone and get to that question, it would be a good thing to say, what is the possibility of there being funding for this? Would you be willing to submit it to the other legislators?
It just makes perfect sense to get at least on the same page, rather than somebody say, this is the first time I've seen this. I don't know.
Yes.
And I don't think we have the money for it. And now that happens all too often. And not just, that happens in all aspects of, government, tribal government, city government, state government. You can't just throw something out there and expect there to be money.
Well, a lot of people are under the misunderstanding that just because it's something that is to be addressed on the legislative level, that just because it passes at the tribal council doesn't make it necessarily so.
Yeah, it's not a law. It's a thing where if a resolution goes through and it passes, well, that's a good hurdle. That's one,
yes.
But it's only one hurdle. And I think that people may not understand, or they probably need to hear it a few more times, that if that's your resolution and it passed, then that's great. But you still have to get behind it and push it. You have to get it in front of not just your legislator. You have to get in front of all of them.
Yes.
And you have to push for that and advocate for that.
The tribal council does not, we cannot...
You're not really lobbyists.
We cannot sign into law, here's the amount of money that we're going to distribute from now on. That's up to the legislators. tribal members, tribal council resolution. It's on that end, it's making suggestion on here's what we would like to have happen because so-and-so would benefit all of the tribal members, something to that effect. So that's the main thing that I want to get across to all tribal members is that there is a process to take place. You do have means to make that happen. So let's do that. And when we do submit a resolution, that we have covered all of the bases. Now, a tribal resolution that concerns only the tribal council, yes, that can go into effect immediately. It does not have to go through the legislative process. Boom. Tribal council votes for tribal council changes. It can happen.
Yeah. We're talking about a lot of procedures here, and I think you're talking about a draft, and yeah, you have a draft resolution and submit it. What I have seen happen in the past, as an observer here, is that a resolution will be put up. It'll be on the agenda, but then as it's being read, we'll say we're going to strike resolution 15 or whatever because something was wrong with it.
Exactly.
It's something, there was either wording wrong or there was a mistake made, or I mean, it could be any number of things, even small, that render that resolution invalid for that day.
Well, what I've seen happen on that is an individual with the information they had available to them at the time of drafting the resolution, maybe someone like you came up and said, hey, here's more information on what you're talking about. And it changes the whole scope of the matter. And that's why some of the resolutions are withdrawn.
And there's also a timeline, I'm sure. I'm sure there are dates and deadlines for things like that.
For submitting the resolution,
And
yes.
then now sometimes if you don't get, we all make the best decisions we can with the information we have available, but you can make it by the deadline, and maybe you get different information the next day. Those things happen.
It does happen. One of the things, another item that I am concentrating on is like the last special hearing that took place. There were resolutions submitted that did not follow this criteria. Because I was in the room, I got admonished for that, and I'm like, I didn't even feel the need to respond. That was not on my watch.
I like that word, admonished. That's a better word than some other things I can think of. Yeah.
And with it being in that situation, in that setting, I did not feel it necessary to respond, stand up and holler out, that was not on my watch. No. It's not necessary for that.
Yeah.
Everybody that knew that I wasn't taking office until January 1st. That was way back in October, November. Mm-hmm. So, yeah. And so all of this is just to say that with this information that we have shared with you, do not let it inhibit you on coming up with an idea for a resolution. Give us an opportunity to put different spins on it and see what we can come up with.
Yeah, I think there are a lot of good ideas that are out there, and like I said, I don't doubt that people. There are a lot of resolutions I've heard, and I'm like, that's crazy. And that's too much. But then I've also heard resolutions. I'm just like, I can't believe no one's ever come up with that before. But I think that, the idea is to probably get folks like yourself and just ask and make sure you have all the proper information. It's like when you're filling out we just had our graduation thing recently, and
you did great on that. Seeing that graduation, yes.
But
take a compliment.
Okay, I'll take it. I'm running with it, baby.
Yes.
But when it comes to filling out things for the FAFSA for financial aid, it stands for free. Oh my gosh, free application for financial student. Oh man, hold on. Anyway, you know what? It's a huge document. Now, when a student grabs those, a student should not fill that out by themselves.
No.
They should get their parents involved, and if they still need help, they need to contact if they're a tribal member or whatever they're in this area, contact your higher ed department. You know, you got to find the people who do this and get help from those people, and don't try to do it all on your own.
They have navigated that course before you.
Yeah.
You may
see
be
the pitfalls
smart.
coming.
Yes, you may be smart, but go with someone that has some experience.
Yeah. So you got a lot of procedures here. We got to submit. This is a good one. Get on the agenda. That can't be. Yeah.
Let's
go with that.
That goes with that. That goes with the timeline. When a resolution is submitted in a timely manner, then we have, like you mentioned a while ago, 15 items on the resolutions, which is quite a bit. But main thing is to pay attention to the timeline so that you are on the agenda. We're not running on Indian time here. No exceptions.
Well, it's like I worked in news all those years, and it amazed me how many times we would go to cover a city council event, city council meeting, which is they're fairly boring, but it was that had like one or two agenda points of interest to the viewers, and that there is a public discussion part of it when they invite people to come up and speak on their issue they're interested in. But I was always amazed how many people just walk up, not on the list, and start talking. And, then it becomes point of order.
Yes.
It's like, I think, now look, I'm like, I love that people want to get interested in their city government, but you have to.
There's a process.
Yes. And you have to basically play by the rules. And if I'm going to go speak, I'm going to write down Darren Brown on the agenda. Because when they call my name, I can come up there and have my few minutes or whatever, and then get my stuff off my chest,
Yes.
But you have to be on the list, on the agenda.
Most definitely. I've had individuals approach me with their own agenda and get upset.
The truth is, we all have our own agenda. Let's just be frank.
And get upset with me when I said, we can't get to this. But I'm a tribal member. Yes, you are. But this has nothing to do with what our agenda is for today.
Attend the meeting. Now that sounds very basic.
Well, and when I chaired the meetings, I would have the author of the resolution come up and read it, especially if there were 15 items. That way, if the author wasn't there, we will skip that. Pure and simple, which speeded up the process.
And the thing is, if they bring up your resolution and you're not there to read it and no one else, I mean, how does that work? If the author's not there, does it just get skipped? And then
it's up to the chairperson.
Okay. But do you try to make your way back to it?
What I have done is, say you submitted a resolution, and I said, the author of the resolution, would you step forward? Nobody comes forward. And I said, does anybody want to read this? No. Okay, we're going to put it to the side.
That's sad. No one wants to read it.
Well, there may be some that say, "Oh yeah, I'll get up and read it."
Yeah.
But before the end of the meeting, I will ask: is the author of resolution number 7? Did they show up? Because they might be running on Indian time.
Oh, yeah.
And so
it's a real thing.
Yes, it's definite, especially if the OU football game is on. And let's see. Attend the meeting. Yes, must be 75 members to make a quorum, which would make, if it's policy concerning the tribal council, then that makes it effective. And then we have discussion and vote. Resolution is read, discussed, and voted on. What I would always do before the meeting after you get elected, I ask the general population that's in attendance, do you want 2 minutes of listening to people talk, or do you want 3 minutes? And so based on that information, the discussion is somewhat limited to either 2 or 3 minutes.
Let me
Because
ask you this.
after 3 minutes, just personally, I start repeating myself.
Yeah, it's easy to do. Let me ask you this. So let's say you give someone 2 minutes and they go, I mean, when do you cut them off?
What I do is I've got a timer there on my watch, cell phone, and I said, minute 50 seconds, minute 55 seconds. Okay, wrap it up. You got 10 seconds.
Okay, because that seems, like I said, I'm trying to recall. Some people, I think most people generally will keep it if they're given. I mean, like most people don't actually know how long they're going,
Yes.
but if you give them a time cue and they see it, they'll generally stick with it. But however, I've seen folks who you give them 2 minutes and they're like, I'm going 2:45.
No, and we come
I've
close.
seen it. I've seen it, Albert.
We've come close to wrestling over the microphone or just unplugging it.
There's an idea. That's a much better idea, I think.
Yes, and along with that, individual speaks one time.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you could talk, then walk around, get at the end of the line again, and repeat what you said the first time through.
Yeah.
And then the decision must be a majority vote, yes or no. And hopefully from now on, we're going to try to make it mandatory that there be electronic devices to vote with. And that way I can't see what you're voting, can't see how you're voting. It's all on a personal level. And with that, there's no family arguments. It's past, what was it, past December? Yes, there was a family discussion on one member asking the other family member, why did you raise your hand? Aren't you a tribal employee? And it was unnecessary. Mm-hmm. And so hopefully the clickers will stay in operation. What we want to do is make it mandatory that from now on, every tribal council meeting must have voting device, electronic voting device.
That makes sense. I know that this is the second of these little informational podcasts that we've done, and we are basically in the first quarter of the year here. So let's say we're about I'm just guessing. Let's just say we're 4 or 5 months away. I mean, the October meeting is
the big meeting.
The thing is, people, you got to think. It's once Memorial Day happens, the year starts speeding up, and you know what I'm talking about. And then school starts, and then boom, all of a sudden it's Thanksgiving. So that meeting will be here. You blink twice, it'll be here.
Yes.
And so I think what I'm getting here is I think you're trying to put all this stuff out so people have plenty of notice, and that there's no one saying, well, I didn't know how to do this.
Yes.
No one told me.
I'll give a teaser. Let me do this teaser. A new tribal ID. And on the back, they have a barcode. As opposed to going up and writing my name down, getting checked off a list, make use of technology, and swiping that.
No, that would be nice. That would be a great idea.
That way the line is not outside the building,
yeah,
around the side of the building. It would speed up the process immensely and more validity to this, because I've heard stories on how people manipulated that sign-in. Yes.
Well, we've gone over most of this, most of the paper you have here.
Yes.
What else do you have that you want to get across in this? Like I said, this is a little shorter than the last time we spoke, but I think there's still stuff that you want to get across to the membership here.
Well, there's several items that we're not ready to disclose yet. Let's just say there's more to come later, and it's being all-inclusive, meaning all tribal members it will affect. And so that's just the teaser. Other things right now in the middle of the community meetings, had an excellent meeting at Watonga. We've got, I believe, Canton coming up Wednesday. Hopefully we'll have people show up. all I can do is make the meeting available. If no one shows up at the end of the day, I can look in the mirror and say, you did all you could do.
Okay, well, anything I missed here?
No, you did a great job. Same as at graduation. you made my day to witness that. I can't tell you enough how good a job you did.
Somebody write that down. We're recording on this, right? Well, Albert, like I said, thanks so much again for stopping in and sharing some information. And like I said, October will be here before you know it. So I'm sure that there will be another couple, at least a couple times you'll come in with some more info.
Yes.
And I think the idea is just to keep, the thing is just keep providing the info. And maybe some people are intimidated. And the idea here is to make it not so intimidating. Because we really, the way any tribe or any government works best is when people are involved, right?
Yes. And that is why we have a resolution dashboard, if you would. And that way, if anybody said, well, I wish I'd have known how to, it's all on the dashboard. Mm-hmm. And if you don't know how to access the dashboard, get a 5-year-old, they can run you through
now,
that.
And one thing I forgot to ask you is where can people, is there a website or is a place where people can go to get all this information in front of them?
If they will send me their email address, I can put them on my weekly update. I do a weekly update and then a monthly recap.
Okay.
If they would send me their email address, be glad to put them on, as long as it's the correct email. I've got 3 people for somehow numbers have been.
You got to put the dot in the right place.
Yes.
Or the dash,
right
or the
now,
hashtag or something,
I think we're up to 350 plus.
Okay, all right.
And so, yeah, if we could do that, that would help out immensely. Do that, and that automatically gets you into the TCC dashboard.
All right. You heard it first. Albert said, give him a call, contact him, and he will get with you and provide you the information that you need to be a fully involved tribal member.
Yeah, and that information is also available in the tribal newspaper because I do
That's right.
The first of the month.
Thank you for bringing that up.
Article.
The Cheyenne and Arapaho Tribal Tribune comes out.
Yes.
Not once, but twice a month.
Yes, and we're on the first of the month.
Okay.
So look for the information there on how to make contact with me and be glad to help you out.
All right, Albert, thank you so much for stopping by, and thank you all for joining us here on another episode of this Cheyenne and Arapaho Productions podcast. We will see you next time.
Yay!